Bombshell tonight in the Nolan Wells investigation. Tonight, the timeline seemingly blows up. This as Nolan's mother is investigated. Why? And tonight, possibly even more important, where...
We all knew this was going to get ugly before it got any clearer. And look, the timeline in the Nolan Wells case just blew up tonight in a way that leaves more questions than answers. Nolan's mother is now being investigated, and the question nobody wants to answer is staring us right in the face. Where is the phone? You know what I'm talking about. The one piece of digital evidence that could tell us everything. The phone that nobody seems to have, nobody seems to want to find, and everybody is pointing fingers about. And before I get to that, let me take you back, because you already know the story. Nolan Wells went out on that boat with his friends, a group of young men on the Triton, heading to Horn Island. The boat left. The boat came back. But Nolan didn't. He was part of a group that was described as almost fighting around 5 p.m. that day.
We want the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells.
A Bertram boat was seen leaving shortly afterward at a high rate of speed. Pretty certain Nolan Wells was part of a group that was, quote, almost fighting around 5 p.m.
I'm on the side of finding out why everybody got back to the mainland except Nolan Wells.
I don't think they've cooperated at all. They do not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has it. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
Big question. That is Tyler Cox representing the so-called friends of Nolan on Horn Island. And if he's claiming that no one see the phone, how does he know that something's not missing? So that's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Let's hear that one more time from our friend Dan Abrams.
I don't think they've cooperated at all. They do not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has it. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
Almost fighting. Now, what does that mean exactly? And why did it take so long for anybody to say anything about it? We're looking at a young man who left his phone on the boat. And I need you to stay with me here, because that detail is going to haunt this case forever. No teenager, not one, leaves their phone willingly.
Obviously, we want the phone. I think you can download it from the cloud, but she's the expert. She's saying it would help to have the phone. So don't you understand why? And I'm not saying this is true. I don't know that it's true. I don't know that that CTO call is real or fake. I don't know. It's murky. You know, Tatum, when I would try cases, especially complicated cases, I would start out the trial with a big jar full of water and silt. And I had it sitting big on my counsel table day one, right beside my Bible. And in closing arguments, the first thing I would do when I started closing arguments, I'd take that jar and shake it. And it would get very murky. You couldn't see anything. And I'd sit it down on my counsel table and argument would commence. And by the time I had gone through all the evidence, I'd go over to my table, pick it up and say, see, it's not muddy anymore. It's crystal clear what happened. My point is, we don't know. So all the haters attacking you, attacking me, attacking the cops, attacking the friends, attacking Nolan's mother, for Pete's sake, we don't know. It's unjustified. Now, to my question. Don't you understand why people are suspicious? Because Nolan's separated from his phone, which no teen does. I get it, why he didn't have it in the water. I get that. I dive, I swim. I just went swimming with the dolphins with my twins. And yes, my phone was on the boat. But then I got it. I didn't let the boat take off without it. So at least you can admit that's why people are curious. I'm curious.
Nancy, I think it's because people are out putting out misinformation and they don't have the totality of circumstances because they haven't heard from the boys, didn't watch the interview and all of this stuff, and they feel that it's convoluted. It's very straightforward to me and very clear in many areas that the boys are saying they did not have access. Christine, Nolan's mother, is not saying unequivocally that things were deleted. She was surprised that things were not present. Therefore, she insinuated that things may have been deleted. But she did not really say that the phone was deleted. And the fact that they did not communicate with both sides, meaning that I wish that the Nolan Wells family would have communicated with these boys instead of me, would have talked to their lawyers instead of me, then therefore they could have gotten a good perspective. The boys made mention in the interview that I did with them that they told Christine, Nolan's mother, that they had his phone and his keys in their possession. Therefore, she came to get them. They turned them over. They have no access to his codes. They have no reason to delete his phone. They're claiming there's nothing that was deleted. They gave a fair explanation as to why he left the phone on the boat. Nolan wasn't the only individual to leave the phone on the boat. He wasn't the only black person to leave the phone on the boat. So that, to me, dispels the racial component. He was with them. Multiple boats came out. Traditionally, if you don't leave on a boat you came on, you can leave on another boat. They're all going to the same location. So it's not that bizarre that he left his phone. The phone was returned to Nolan. These are best friends of Nolan. They hang out almost every day.
Hold on just a sec.
He spent the night over there.
It's like leaving your arm on the boat. It just doesn't happen. The boys on the boat claimed they brought the phone back to Nolan's mother. They returned his keys and his phone that night. And I'm supposed to believe that this group of friends, these young men who were on that boat, had the phone in their hands, and somehow the timeline just sort of doesn't add up. The attorney for the friends, Tyler Cox, has been very clear. He says the boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back. That's what he said. But here's the thing, though. He also said he doesn't think the family has cooperated at all. You see what's happening here, right? Two sides, both saying the other one is hiding something. And in the middle of it all, we've got a dead young man and a phone that might as well have vanished into thin air. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department hasn't had access to Nolan's phone. That's what we're told. But how can you claim nothing is missing if you never actually looked at what's on it? That's a double-edged sword if I've ever heard one. And the mother, Christine, she found it odd that there was nothing sent out while Nolan was at Horn Island. Nothing. No texts, no photos, no Snapchats. For a young man who is constantly connected, that silence is deafening. You know, just like I know, that in this day and age, a dead phone is suspicious. A phone with no activity during a trip with friends is suspicious. And a phone that nobody can produce is outright alarming. Let's talk about this phone for a second. Actually, wait. Let me slow down because I want you to really understand what's happening here. This is the part that gets personal for me. When I look at this case, I see a mother who lost her son. That's a pain I can't even imagine. But I also see a system that is failing everybody involved. The family says they're prepared to cooperate. That's the language coming from their attorney, Benjamin Crump. They're prepared. That's not tea.
It looks really bad for Nolan's family not to hand over the phone. Do you have any independent knowledge they have not handed over the phone?
According to their lawyer that wrote a statement, and the statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, but that was as of the 11th. Therefore, they have not cooperated. Tyler Cox has made mention that he don't believe they cooperated whatsoever. He don't believe they cooperated whatsoever as well. So
extrapolating, you're taking the words, Tatum, that their words that they're prepared to cooperate to mean they haven't handed over the phone. Isn't that true?
I'm putting everything together, right? We have Tyler Cox that's coming out and saying that he has no indication whatsoever they've cooperated. The family has not come out and said that there's any findings. And then also the attorney that represents the family is saying that we haven't sent or gave the phone over, but we're willing to. And that was as of the 11th.
No,
so it appears that there's no indication that.
Brandon, you may very well be a lot smarter than me, but I can hear, okay? The statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, I guess from Crump. That does
I'm not
not
sure if it
mean we
was.
have not handed over the phone, but we will.
Well, Nancy, when you put it all, you have to put the totality of circumstance together. I'm not there to be in the room with the investigators to determine, but I'm just going off of what knowledge we have and that's been given to us that's available. And what Tyler Cox is saying, and I'm taking him at his word, he's saying that there's no indication that they've cooperated. The lawyers that represent the family is saying we're prepared, but they did not say that they've cooperated whatsoever. So I'm looking at the statements that are produced, and all of the statements indicate that there has not been a cooperation with the phone being extracted from investigators. Therefore, there is no true
Okay, see, I don't
determination that
see it
things
that
were
way
missing
at
from the
all.
phone. Well, I
For
mean,
all
we have
I
no
can
other.
tell
We
by
have
the
no
statement,
other.
all I
We
can
have
tell from
nothing
that
else to
statement
go
is
off
we're
of.
prepared to cooperate. For all I know, that means we'll come in for questioning. We'll let you search his
Well,
belongings. It could
Nancy,
mean
it's been
anything. That does not equal we have not handed over the phone. But hey, you know what?
Nancy. It's been weeks.
You say
They're
tomato,
prepared to
I say
cooperate.
tomato, because it kind of doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter. Actually,
It's been weeks now. Weeks. And still, no forensic extraction. No full file system analysis. Nothing. The digital forensics experts say you need both the cloud data and the phone itself to see the full picture. Deleting something from the phone doesn't delete it from the cloud, and deleting it from the cloud doesn't mean it's truly gone. But you have to actually look. You have to have the device.
to Heather Barnhart joining us, digital forensics expert with Celebrite. We learned all about Celebrite during the Alex Murdaugh trial. That's how we got everything off of his dead, murdered son's phone. And the SANS Institute, SANS, she is one of the preeminent digital forensic experts in the country. She helped crack the Brian Kohberger case, and she is co-author of Practical Mobile Forensics, now in its 4th edition. That means that many people have used it. Heather, thank you for being with us. If the
Thank you for
phone,
having
I
me.
don't care where it is. Okay, actually, I do care where it is. I want to know that it's been handed over. I don't have to have the phone to know what's on the phone if it's in the cloud. It looks like an iPhone to me. So my argument with Officer Tatum is academic. It doesn't matter if I can get it from the cloud. So Nolan's phone missing. So what? I can download it. I can get it.
Data will exist in the cloud if he's syncing to iCloud and third-party applications. However, having physical access to the phone is where the databases exist that will have the truth on deletion. So you really need to get a full file system extraction of his phone as quickly as possible. So if it's not handed over to authorities now, it needs to be, because this was over a month ago now.
Do you have to have the phone to do the extraction? What about the cloud?
Cloud data is different, and there's a lot of information there. There could be unique information in the cloud that's been removed from the phone, if anything was removed, but it's best to have both cloud and the phone to paint the entire.
And right now, nobody seems to have it. So how can you say there's nothing missing? How can anybody say anything with certainty? Officer Brandon Tatum, the former police officer and YouTube star, has interviewed the friends. He's been very vocal about this case, and I respect that. But when he says the friends have been cooperative, that they took voice stress tests, that they handed over their phones voluntarily to the FBI, I have to stop and ask, what about Nolan's phone? The friends apparently took a computer voice stress analysis, not a polygraph, a voice analysis. And one of them, Warren, didn't even take that.
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me, that they all passed. And all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a
Why do you say
polygraph
that's
test
from
but
what you
one.
understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lie detector test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lie detector test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lot of technical tests. It's a different methodology. I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if the people were telling the truth or not.
Did they take a polygraph would be no. Officer Tatum, number one, they did not take polys. Number two, Warren, as you refer to him, did not take the voice analysis. Why did he not take a voice analysis? Number one. And number two, since we spoke on this last, have they taken polys? And if not, why not?
Okay, let me just make sure clear, because I think the internet went in a frenzy about this. It's a computer voice stress analysis is what I was referring to. None of this is admissible in court, and I don't think it has the weight to concern anybody or whether or not anyone took it or not. I just thought it was important to show the cooperation that they had with the police. Even more cooperation, I believe, almost than the Nolan family. I mean, the boys have given their phones over to the FBI voluntarily, and we still haven't gotten Nolan's phone from the family to the police. So,
are you back on the phone? Because you don't know. You've already said you don't know where the phone is. It could be sitting on the sheriff's desk for all I know.
If they did it in the last 10 minutes, maybe that could be true.
Oh, so you knew before you joined us tonight that Nolan's family had not handed over the phone?
Now, Tatum said that most police departments use the computer stress analysis now instead of the polygraph. But let me tell you what I know. I know a polygraph measures heartbeat, perspiration, breathing, eyelid movement, all of it. A voice stress test just analyzes your voice. They're not the same. They're not even close. And in the words of the bard Shakespeare, too much. Too much we don't know. Too much we're being asked to just accept. And here's the question nobody is asking loudly enough. If the friends are so cooperative, why are we still talking about what's missing from Nolan's phone? Why aren't we talking about what was found? Because nothing has been found. The phone hasn't been turned over. The family hasn't handed it in. And the sheriff's department hasn't forced the issue with a warrant. So we're stuck. We're stuck in this murky place where nobody knows anything, and everybody is pointing at everybody else. Now here's where it gets interesting. The boat. The Triton. The boat that took Nolan to Horn Island and came back without him. Has it been searched by cadaver dogs? Has it been checked for evidence? And the answer is no. Not by anyone who has the authority to do it. Benjamin Crump, the attorney for the family, was offered the opportunity to search the boat with cadaver dogs. He refused.
The boat, from my understanding, has not been searched, and the cadaver dogs were made available for Benjamin Crump to utilize them to do a search on the boat. They refused.
Crump is not supposed to use the dogs.
There is no reason to search
everything on Crump.
Listen, Nancy, there's no reason if there's not any evidence of a murder, there's no reason for them to use the cadaver dog. That's how this works.
True.
There's none of these individuals they do not have any expectation that there was any murder that occurred. It's just other people are putting that out to the world. The police department is not investigating the murder. These boys are not suspects.
I agree they're not suspects. They're not persons of interest. They're not suspects. They haven't been charged. But
to believe after interviewing 60 people that he was ever on the boat.
The search of the Triton, It's not his boat.
Ordering it. He's not ordering it. The cadaver dogs were made available if he wanted to. No. They made themselves, availed themselves to him and said, would you like us to search the boat for you?
You just said that about Nolan Wells' mom. You said, I almost hate to do this to you. Almost. Tatum, you just said when Crump says we're available and ready, you meant, well, that's no, they haven't handed over the boat. But now you're saying the friends say our boat's available and ready, and I'm not going to tear you a new one because the law enforcement is the one that needs to go and search the boat.
Nancy,
it ain't rocket science.
The people who had questions about this, because it's definitely not law enforcement, it was Benjamin Crump. They wanted to get to the bottom. They don't trust law enforcement.
There's not a grand jury? This isn't going to grand jury?
I'm saying initially before grand jury.
Because if it's going to grand jury, then there are questions.
No, initially, before grand jury, when this first started, and Benjamin Crump brought up all of these questions, and they availed themselves to him and said, "Would you like for us to search the boat? We'll grant the cadaver dogs for you to go and look at the boat." And he refused. And this is why I'm saying it does not appear
give authority to search the boat.
He can. The boys are cooperating.
Dog, I want you to run over to Tatum's house and sniff the hell out of it, because it's your house.
Come on over. I would say, no. I said, come on over. The cadaver dogs are made available. But then Benjamin Crump said, well, we don't want it. That's the problem here.
Wait a minute.
They are not pursuing like they claim they are.
Say, here's our boat. Come search it. Did the families offer the boat up to search?
They offered boat, phones, whatever investigators needed, whatever the family needed, they made it available. The family did not pursue any avenue to connect with the boys on any level. The boat, to talk about timeline, to communicate with parents, to communicate with lawyers, they have done nothing. And then now we find out that they haven't even given the phone over to law enforcement so they can do an extraction or a forensic investigation.
Well, stop.
And I have to say, that's a problem. You want answers. You want justice for your son. But you turn down the chance to search the boat? You tell me how that makes sense. The friends have said the boat is available. They've offered to cooperate. But the family hasn't pursued any avenue to connect with them, to talk timeline, to ask questions. They've done nothing. And now we find out the phone hasn't been handed over. It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck. And at the center of it, a young man is dead. We don't even have a cause of death yet.
Back to Officer Brandon Tatum. He's the star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. So, Officer Tatum, let me understand. I don't know, and I don't think you know, where Nolan Wells' phone is. The family may have it, or it may have been seized or handed over to law enforcement. And if it hasn't, then they, law enforcement, need to issue a warrant for it. It's really not hard. You've executed warrants before, I'm sure. So have I.
Well, you're going to have a reason to get a warrant. And if it's a criminal investigation and they believe that they can find evidence of a crime, if they had access to his phone, I could see them getting a warrant to extract his phone outside of the parent's will. But if you're looking at a potential drowning and there's no criminal element involved, and the parents are refusing to give over the phone, they don't believe it's any material evidence there. No, I'm saying this is what the law enforcement agency.
These questions anymore.
Nancy, this is what the law enforcement. I'm giving you a law enforcement perspective.
Nobody said Nolan. You know what? We're really chasing our tails here. We don't know that Nolan's family has refused to hand over the phone. My simple question to you is, law enforcement, if they want the phone, get a warrant for the phone. Go get the phone. Or communicate to the family, give me the phone.
Nancy, there could be two things afoot. I'm not a part of the investigation, but I can see if they haven't gotten the phone yet, it's because they don't need the phone and they don't want the phone. It's not there of evidentiary value if there is no suspect here. If it was a drowning and there's indications of a drowning, they may not need it, Nancy, so they're not going to go get it. If they need it, they would have already had it a month ago.
Stop. Okay. Brandon Tatum, are you a medical examiner?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Because what I have been told, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't smile at me. It's not working.
I'm trying.
From what I understand, let's go to the expert. Joe Scott Morgan is joining me, Joseph Scott Morgan, Professor of Forensics, Jacksonville State University, world-class criminal program, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on YouTube, star of a hit series, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan, death investigator, over 10,000 death investigations under his belt. Joe Scott, it's my understanding, correct me if you know differently, or Susan Hendricks, Dave Mack, jump in, please, feet first. Both medical examiners have stated to the effect, one says undetermined now, because we're waiting on, I think, toxicology. We don't know the answer. The second one has said undetermined cause of death. That's a yes, no. Isn't that true? We don't have a cause of death yet.
That has been made public, no. They said
Okay,
last week.
so
Hang
Brandon
on.
Tatum.
They said last week.
Excuse-
They said last week that the autopsy report is complete, which means they have tox, histo, and they've probably got a cause of death.
Okay, but we don't have the cause of death.
We don't. It has not been released yet.
The medical examiners have said undetermined. Not drowning, not homicide, not anything. Undetermined. Because they're waiting on toxicology. Because they don't have the full picture. Because the phone isn't there. This is the part nobody talks about. The grand jury. There is a grand jury investigating this case. That means there is enough concern, enough evidence, enough of something to move forward with a formal investigation. And a grand jury can compel things. They can subpoena the phone.
Philip Dubé joining me. He is a veteran trial lawyer, a defense lawyer. He's joining me out of L.A. He practices criminal and constitutional law. Dubé, I don't want to hear either a prosecution or a defense side. A citizen cannot force a search on somebody else's boat. So Crump or Mrs. or Nolan's mother, they cannot force a cadaver dog or a scent dog search on the Triton. Law enforcement needs to bring out a cadaver dog and a scent dog. It's just real simple. It's not hard. Do you agree? They are the ones with authority to do that.
Of course. A lot of these thought leaders and crusaders, the thought leaders and the crusaders can all request it and make sure that there's an in-depth, thorough investigation, but they cannot physically and personally initiate it or enforce all the procedures that are necessary to get that underway. One thing they can do, though, is go to the DA's office and ask that it be included as part of the grand jury investigation. Because believe me, Nancy, a grand jury starts investigating and wants all of these materials, including access to the boat, access to the cell phone, it's going to happen. Otherwise, they will suffer the pains of contempt of the grand jury.
Dubé, my point is, Crump, nor Nolan's mother, nor anybody on their team can issue a subpoena or a directive or give permission for somebody else's boat to be searched. So when that was put to Crump, he doesn't have the authority to do that. He's a lawyer. He knows that. And it's not the friend's prerogative either. It's law enforcement needs to go do it.
Correct.
I can't come search your home. That would be trespass.
Correct.
Law enforcement has to do it. That's a yes, no. I don't need a legal discourse. Yes or no.
They can demand the boat be searched. They can get to the truth. But here's the thing. They haven't. Not yet. And the longer this drags on, the more we have to wonder why. The friends say they've handed over their phones to the FBI. They've cooperated. They've done everything they were asked. But Nolan's phone? That's the one piece of digital evidence that could tie this all together. And it's sitting somewhere, probably in a drawer, or on a charger, or maybe even wiped clean. And we have no way of knowing. You know what bothers me? The inconsistency. On one hand, Tatum says the family hasn't handed over the phone. He says that based on the statements from the family's attorney, they said they were prepared to cooperate, not that they had. On the other hand, Tatum says the friends have been fully cooperative. They gave their phones, they took the voice stress tests, they did everything right. But I'm not buying it. Not entirely. Because a voice stress test isn't a polygraph. And handing over your phone after you've had time to delete things isn't the same as handing it over immediately. And why didn't Warren take the test? What's his story? We don't know. And that's the problem. We are looking through a mirror darkly, as it says in the Bible.
Susan Hendricks is a veteran investigative journalist. She's the author of the bestseller Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. She exhaustively researched and investigated the double murder of 2 little girls and came to the truth. Susan Hendricks, you've heard all of the evidence that we've got tonight, and there's so much more we haven't gotten to. I want to hear where things stand now. Is there a grand jury? Is there going to be a grand jury? Where is the phone? Was the boat searched? Just enlighten me in any way that you can, Susan Hendricks.
There is a grand jury. They are investigating. You mentioned Delphi. There's hints of this to me, meaning it's being tried in the court of public opinion. And it's troubling to me that we talk about the mom and we don't know that she didn't hand over the phone. So now she has to go on defense. And as Officer Tatum said, the boat has not been searched by cadaver dogs. So we know that. Grand jury is investigating, and the parents have to suffer through this. And also, all attorneys have to say is, I don't think it's my understanding that she didn't hand over the phone. She wants to know what happened to her son. She wants to know, why wouldn't she hand over the phone? It's just obscene that she has to suffer through this even more.
Well, you hit the nail on the head right there, and you answered a very serious and critical question, and that is, there is a grand jury. Everything Tatum is saying and everything I'm saying, you know that phrase in the Bible, Tatum? We are now looking through a mirror darkly. We're looking through a very murky, grimy glass because we don't know. You are saying one thing, I'm questioning that because we don't know. And in the middle of it all, we have got a dead body of Nolan Wells. I don't want to get tangled up in arguments and vitriol that detracts from finding the truth. And I don't take anybody at face value. I don't suspect anybody, and I suspect everybody. I can't tell who's telling the truth. But we will, God help us, find out what happened to this young man.
We're looking through a grimy glass, and all we see are shadows and accusations. The timeline is blowing up. The mother is being investigated. The phone is missing, and nobody is telling the whole truth. I don't know if the friends are guilty. I don't know if the family is hiding something. I don't know if this was a tragic accident or something worse. But I know we need answers. We need the phone. We need the boat searched. We need the truth. And the fact that we're still waiting, still arguing, still pointing fingers while a young man lies dead, that's unacceptable. I want to know the truth. Not the comfortable story. Not the polite version. The truth. And until we get it, I'm not letting this go. And neither should you. We all knew this was going to be a fight. We all knew the system would let us down. But we didn't expect this. We didn't expect the mother to be investigated. We didn't expect the phone to become the central question. We didn't expect the timeline to be so fractured. But here we are. And we have to keep pushing, keep asking, keep demanding. Because Nolan Wells deserves justice. And his family, his friends, all of us, we deserve the truth. So I'll ask you one more time. And I want you to answer in the comments. Where is Nolan's phone? And why isn't anyone telling the truth about it? I'll be waiting. We'll all be waiting. Because we're not going to stop. Not until we get the answers we deserve. God help us find out what happened to this young man. And if you know something, say something. Because silence is not an option. Not anymore.